Professor Macabro, Professor Macabro.
Greetings and salutations. It is I, Professor Macabro, here recording from the second undisclosed location, because the first undisclosed location that I usually record in, as opposed to the spooky shed, which is now just basically a big storage unit, is hot as hell. We're going through a little bit of a heat wave. Not gonna lie, suffering from a little bit of the effects of a heat stroke. Even though I have a puny little ventilator here, my royal regalia is well known for not being very good for the summer or hot Santa Ana times. But striving through, because I wanted to record a movie review. Yes, indeed. And allow me a moment to get properly more dressed for this particular video. Yes, indeed. Now, I watched a couple of movies a while ago called Killer Kites and Sewer Gators. And I was mentioning that it was directed by Paul Dale, who is also Brock Peterson in those movies. And I watched Killer Kites because we saw the trailer on Psychobabble and saw that a guy that looks a lot like Wes was there. And in that movie they mentioned Sewer Gators. So I went and I looked for Sewer Gators and I found it. And Tubi, when the algorithm gets going, recommended another movie. And I opened what that recommendation was, and surprise, surprise, it's made by the same production studio, by the Horns TV, and also directed by Paul Dale. So I was like, holy shit! And it has some of the same actors. So I was like, well, thank you, Tubi. I saw this on Tubi. Thank you, Tubi, for recommending this movie, which now I will watch. And I watched it, and I will talk to you about it. Yes, indeed. Now, despite the fact that I am a professor, you see, and I am very knowledgeable, I don't usually research things very properly. Yes, indeed. I always flub the names, and I don't have my information 100% accurately. And since I don't script my reviews, well, I don't have anything to base myself on. But I compensate it with a perky personality and what I say is humor. But apparently this movie came after Sewer Sharks, and it's before Killer Kites. And the movie in question is Murderitaville. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Murderitaville. And it's a movie that, it's a love letter to Jimmy Buffett, who unfortunately died before the release of this movie. And it starts with a couple that is getting out from a Jimmy Buffett show, and they pick up a hitchhiker, as you do, and they have an argument because they're discussing Jimmy Buffett knowledge, and the wife is like super hardcore Jimmy Buffett, and the husband is not. So they have an argument, the lady kicks him out, and he's like, will do, I've been kicked out. And he goes to relieve himself, but we get a biohazard warning, and apparently something happens because we hear a scream. And then the wife and the hitchhiker get attacked by something. Then we cut 30 years later to a group of friends that are getting together on this lake house to see a Jimmy Buffett cover tribute artist. Yes, indeed. And they make a lot of reference to Jimmy Buffett songs, which was a lot of fun. And there they encounter an old dude called Jeep, if I remember correctly, that is missing an eye and is just drinking himself away, which is, you know, when you drink, you drink. You need a drink. It's super hot where they are. And he starts sobering up, and he starts, going through a thing, and one of the characters, which is an actor, which I will post a picture here, that appeared on Killer Kites and Sewer Gators. And he goes out looking for some booze, and he is attacked by Jeep. But you can see him screaming, and And then the group of friends are mysteriously attacked by something. We don't know what. And they choked it. Ah, ha, ha. Spoiler alert. What if it's Jeep? Ah, ha, 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 ha. And it turns out it was Jeep. Yes, indeed. And what happened, again, spoilers, I would suggest you watch the movie because it's a really fun movie. It's an hour long, so, it's not going to wear on you. And it's fun. I had a lot of fun with this movie. Right off the bat, I'm recommending it. But if you don't want any spoilers, then stop here now. So it turns out that Jeep is indeed the killer. And what happened is that he had one of those Toucan Sam looking things, kind of mask. And he took a relieve himself by taking a leak, but it was in radioactive waste, so apparently he might have fallen in and had a very adverse reaction to toxic waste. Now, toxic waste does not always give you superpowers, you see. Sometimes it hideously mutates you. And that was the case with him because he transformed into like this Toucan Sam kind of creature that attacks people when he's sober. Good concept, I like that. But because he was old and because he was, a lifetime of drinking, he attacks this guy, and now he becomes the Birdman. And it's a really cool makeup effect because he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and he has red feathers, and he has a beak. Really, really cool. At the end of the movie, they do have a really cool sequence of them applying the bird makeup to that actor, and I think it looks really, really cool. I really, really like the makeup work in this. Yes, indeed. So now he's the new bird creature who only transforms when he's sober. So, drink, drink, drink. And he starts attacking the group of people, and you have a lot of the repeat characters from Killer Kites and Sewer Gators, especially the guy with the backwards hat. He's in this. And Brock Peterson is also here, and this is the Brock Peterson multiverse, apparently. Yes, indeed. Just like they say, a whole multiverse. This already had one before that was a really big thing. So you have had Brock Peterson in Sewer Gators, Brock Peterson in this, and Murderitaville. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And Killer Kites. And there's probably more movies. I need to research and see if there are more movies where Brock Peterson comes up. But he's in here, and he gets killed. So he gets killed in Sewer Gators, he gets killed in this, and he survives in Killer Kites. So, hooray, he survived in one of these movies. And eventually, the carnage ensues, and the bird person is attacked by a singing shark. And I'm wondering now, there's a movie about a singing shark, so I'll probably have to look that up. But throughout the narrative, someone is telling the story to the sheriff, who looks, probably is the same sheriff from Sewer Gators. And he's like, it is revealed that it's this guy that is telling the story, and he's like, I can't sober up, I have to keep drinking because I transform into this monster. And the sheriff's like, yeah, whatever, let's go. And it lifts it on the fact that he escaped, and he became, once again, the bird creature. And I had a lot of fun with this movie. I'm really diving into a rabbit hole with the movies by director Paul Dale and by the Horns TV Productions. Yes, indeed. I need to research how many more movies they made and look them up on the interwebs or on the Tubi, which Tubi is a really good source of finding these really weird and obscure movies, which I'm really enjoying. Yes, indeed. And it does look a lot better than Sewer Sharks. Which, again, why I mentioned that Sewer Sharks must have come first. Because this one looks better. The camera looks better. The lighting looks better. They have these really cool drone shots from the lake house, where there's like, the lake house is like zooming in. It looks really, really cool. Really high production. And then they have shots of the lake, and then they have shots of the road. Like, good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I really, really like how this movie looks. And everyone's in frame. It's an independent movie, much like the other two. But it doesn't look cheap. It looks well shot. There's a lot of character interaction. It looks like these people are friends, or at least are friendly with each other. Because they do have good chemistry between themselves. And I really like that. I really appreciate when a movie production company gets people together that enjoy working with each other, because you get that kind of chemistry, fun times that not a lot of productions have. There's a lot of soulless productions, especially in big Hollywood, where it seems like people don't get along and they're just there to collect a paycheck. These people look like they're enjoying what they're doing, and it shows on camera. So that's a big plus for your old pal, Professor Macabre, when watching movies. Yes, indeed. So this is a better looking and more produced movie from the studio. But as far as I know, their newest one is Killer Kites. Yes, indeed. So I very much enjoyed this movie. Again, it's an hour long, so it does go by very fast. It doesn't linger. Like a lot of independent movies, like their previous works that I mentioned, there does seem to be some moments where there's some flubs, but that adds to the charm. That's something that I like to see in movies sometimes. You know, not everything has to be big production. You can allow a take to run, and you pick that as the best take, and you go with it. And I appreciate that. Yes, indeed. So I can highly recommend Murderitaville. Yes, indeed. Especially if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I highly recommend this movie. Yes. Have you seen Murderitaville? Did you like it? Did you not enjoy it? Let us know in the comments down below. But until I see you all again next time, this has been Professor Macabre, thanking you and wishing you all, like always, a good evening.